Hello, I'm David Hunt, and this is my little section of Bent TV. My guest today, he's a born and bred Melburnian, and he lives in a city in Melbourne. He's a sci-fi freak. Oh my God, wait until you hear what happened down the track there. He really loves his motorbike and has travelled around the country and around the world on it. We'll get to that a little bit later, for the past 40 years. Our proud man, he's been with his partner Tim his husband Tim, for 23 years, married for 3 years, retired, volunteered at VCA, and also volunteers currently at Joy as a presenter. He also runs a podcasting at Joy, and he's also a board member, overachiever. And there's the trade union. What's going on there? Okay, here's my guest today, a dear friend, supporter of the arts. He loves theatre and film. Peter Holmes, welcome.
Thank you for having me, David.
My pleasure. And as I just mentioned, a dear friend as well. All right, let's start talking about you as a kid growing up. When did you realise you might be gay?
In hindsight, I probably realised when I was about 10 or 11.
Yeah. What was the trigger? Was there something that made it really obvious at that moment?
I'm talking hindsight, but I think it was attraction to boys at school.
Right, okay.
I went to a boys' school, so there were plenty of boys there to be attracted to, but I certainly felt that attraction there and not, to women. Sexual attraction.
Sexual attraction. And so you just let it sit there for many years, or?
Yes. Well, I came out quite late. I came out at 36, and I guess one of the reasons was the society at that time,
Because you're an old fart, aren't you?
Yeah. I was born in the 50s, mid-50s.
Yeah.
And, what was society like then? It was illegal to be a gay man back then. It was illegal, not only illegal, but a shame, a thing about shame. Society gave you this shame about coming out.
And it was too, wasn't it? It really did stifle you as a person. But then again, that was somebody like you and myself. But then I know other men that freely came out at 12, 13 years age. It's a personal journey, isn't it? Such a strong personal journey.
It is, and I do remember I came out to not really understanding that I was coming out. I came out to my father quite early on, probably 14 or something. Oh. I said, I'm attracted to the boys at school. I didn't know what I was saying. And he, of course, sent me off. He was a staunch Catholic. He sent me off to confession to confess, to the priest that was what I was feeling, and I was having bad thoughts, Do
you remember what the priest said, or did the priest take you to one side and have a chat?
No, he gave me 3 Hail Marys and said,
"Oh my God,
don't have impure thoughts anymore."
Oh,
that's my memory of it.
Yeah, what a waste.
Those memories are pretty much embedded in my brain because they were the start of the shame that I was feeling about who I was as a person, and it developed into self-hatred of myself.
Oh, did it?
As I grew, because I couldn't be myself, and if one parent is watching this, don't do that to your child. It's the most horrible thing.
Yeah.
It's taken me really 40 years to work through it all. I've done a lot of inner work on myself, a lot of therapy, etc.
Yeah. So did your father ever bring it up again?
My father was very stuck in his religious beliefs, and later in life, he died at an old age, 88, 89, and he came to terms with it, and he changed all that, and I'm forever in a state of gratitude for him because, he took Tim, my partner, under his wing and became his best friend, really. So he came to an acceptance, but I think he was driven by the society of the time, To have a gay son was the worst thing possible in life.
Yeah.
So he had to try and stop it, even though it was what was happening to me.
Tell us, what was it in your 30s that made you come out? Was there one particular thing, or do you just went, I've had enough. It's time to come out.
I think it was the latter.
Come screaming out of that closet. I'm here. I'm free.
I was sitting in a plane. I'll give you the story.
Hey!
I was working in the public service back then, the Commonwealth Public Service at the tax office, and I was coming back from a plane journey to Canberra, as all people in the Commonwealth Public Service do regularly. And, you know, remember the little tube music things you had in your ears back then?
Yeah.
The pipe music. And Billy Bragg's song, Sexuality, came on. And, you know, some of the words in that say, you know, don't give up on sex. And it just went clunk in my brain. And it was like, I'm coming out now.
Whoa.
In the plane.
And sort of when the staff were walking past, excuse me, are you available? No, I'm joking.
No, well, they came to deliver coffee and I was bawling my eyes out listening to this because I knew that it was the next moment I was going to come out.
Oh, fantastic, Peter.
And it just changed my whole, you know, I'd been drinking a lot of alcohol, you know, etc. And I'd been pushing it all down. And then at that moment, that was the moment.
Okay, so what did you do? You know, what was your next move? Like now you realise that you are a gay man and you're going to do something about it. What did you do?
Well, I was also a motorcyclist at that time and I'd been riding for quite a lot of years. And I was looking through the motorcycle magazine, Australian Motorcycle News. In the personals column or classifieds, they don't have it anymore in that magazine, but was an ad for a club called Melbourne Motorcycle Tourers. And it said, are you still in the closet? We're here if you are and ride a motorcycle. So this is made for me.
Whoa.
So
and you hadn't noticed that ad up until that moment?
I had, yes.
Right.
It had been playing around.
Right, okay.
Head, but the moment was on the plane.
Yep.
Then, I hand wrote a letter to them because that was what you did. It was back in 1991.
Yep.
And I remember signing it. No, I went to sign it and I thought, I can't sign it with my real signature because someone might notice that
Yep.
or someone might say, oh, you've signed this letter saying you're gay. Anyway, so I signed it with a fake signature, sent it off. And a man there, Ross King, he's a wonderful, wonderful man, now in his 70s, I think. He rang me back on the telephone, you know, the dial telephone.
Yeah. So you had given your telephone number away anyway.
Yeah, I did. He invited me to come to the next meeting and they met at a straight pub around Melbourne. So I got on my bike that night and went there, rode around the block 7 times before I was game to go in.
Oh, Peter, wow.
In hindsight, it's funny, but at the time it was shocking.
Yeah.
I remember walking in and I thought, I'm not going over there. I could see them in the corner. So I sat on a stool at the bar and I ordered a beer.
Yeah.
And I tried to pick it up and spilled all the beer all over the bar. Anyway, at that point, a couple of the guys from the club came over and said, are you looking for us? They'd obviously seen this before, people coming in and spilling their beer on the bar.
Yeah.
And that was my coming out experience. Really.
And so there, from that moment on, you felt this is my tribe and you felt comfortable with them.
Absolutely. I felt they were my people, and I've been a member of it ever since.
Yeah,
so,
you have, and quite involved in it.
30 years, that was 29 years I've been a member.
And you met your partner, well, your husband, Tim, through it in a roundabout way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell us that story, because I love it.
The story of, yes, well, he came along to the club. I just come out of another relationship. Probably I had a few short-term relationships, 18 months or something, and none of them worked. So went along to the club one night, and Tim was there, and he'd just come along and you as well to the club, and all of a sudden we were going for a ride that weekend, and he said, oh well, I couldn't come till Saturday morning. So I said, well, I'll stay in Melbourne another day and meet him. It was just this instant attraction that happened.
Wow.
And I knew that he was the one No idea why. It just
Wow.
came to me. So we have our meeting place at a service station.
Service station, yeah.
Out in Warrigal Road, still there. So that's our special place where we met.
Gorgeous. But what about Tim? Did he feel that attraction on that same time, or did that come a bit later with him?
He did feel it because that weekend that we went away, it was an Easter trip to Jindabyne. And by day 2, we had decided that we wanted to get together, and we went and had a heartfelt conversation in one of the cafes up there. And he said, "Are you interested?" And I said, "Yes, I'm interested. Are you interested?" And that was the beginning.
The rest is history. And you've been together how many years? 23 years.
23 now, yeah.
23. And married 3 years because marriage equality. You waited until that. Very special day, wasn't it, for the two of you?
Absolutely. A bit of sci-fi in there, a bit of motorcycling, a bit of everything was in there.
Well,
a bit of Sue and David too from Friday Night Live.
Well, your motorbikes were either side of you when you were getting married. You came into, after you got married, you came in, like with Star Wars swords fighting, like with smoke coming out, and very funny, very, very funny situation. And a big celebration. Of course,
organised by the wonderful Sue Wilkinson.
Yep.
We organised the sword fight, but she had, unbeknown to us, organised a mask for everyone, in every guest. So when we got up from doing our entry with the swords, here they were all looking at us as stormtroopers. It was hilarious. Never laughed so much. It was the best night in my life, and Tim's as well. It was fabulous.
Brilliant.
And you, of course, did the emceeing, which was fabulous as well.
Oh, and your first dance together was hysterical, but we might save that up. Okay, what did you do work-wise?
A lot of places. I worked for 28 years with the tax office, but I had about 5 careers or 6 careers in that time.
Yep.
Because it's a very big organisation.
Of course.
And one of them was with the trade union, the CPSU, that was the trade union for the organisation. I was an elected official. They paid me for a few years. And that was during the Hawke era, and we helped negotiate all the enterprise bargains for the tax office.
Right, okay.
It was good.
But
it was a really enjoyable place to work. I still know lots of people from there.
Yeah. But then, like later, like just before you retired, you were sort of, tell us what you were doing then.
Yeah, after the tax office, I left there, and I trained as a Gestalt therapist, which is a counselling psychotherapy qualification, and worked in that field for 5 or so years.
Right.
With lots of gay men, unusually, because there aren't too many gay male counsellors around. And I worked for 3 years as a volunteer at the VAC at that point.
And in counselling as well? Yep.
Yeah.
Because you had the expertise.
A counsellor. So worked with it was a part of the AIDS epidemic, which was moving from a death sentence to a lifetime on drugs, which was an amazing experience for me to work with all those people through that organisation.
On the side, you're part of a spiritualist group of people, aren't you? Tell us about that and how that's helping you so much with your life.
I've done a lot of therapy in my life, as I said a little bit earlier, to get rid of the shame from my youth, and that led me to this organisation called the Diamond Approach, which has quite a few hundred people in Australia, and it's a process-driven spiritual path, inner path. It's not a religion where you have rules that you have to follow.
Yep.
It's a process where you look inside yourself.
Meditation, in a way,
meditation as well. Yep. So you do meditation and look inside yourself and work with a person to free up all those blocked parts of yourself,
right?
And free up shame, free up all sorts of things.
Yeah, but you would now be
extraordinary.
A fairly senior in that sort of, because you've been doing it for a long, long time, haven't you?
20 years, yeah.
Are you helping other people now through that process?
We help each other.
Yep. Oh, okay.
I decided you can become a teacher, but I decided not to as I was getting on in years at the time. So I thought I'd prefer to have a retirement than keep working in a field. But we have groups in the city that you're in, and we help each other.
Yeah. But you often travel to Sydney for it. Is there something that happens bigger than Sydney?
They do six monthly retreats up there. So
right.
I go to one every 6 months.
And you're really still finding that it's beneficial for you to do it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And you would recommend it?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's it called again?
It's a path to, you can call it enlightenment. It's a path to becoming an enlightened human being.
Right.
Like the Buddhists talk about.
Yep.
So it's a very similar.
Right.
There's a lot of Buddhism in there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's it called?
It's called the Diamond Approach.
Diamond.
It's got a website. Yeah.
Diamond. Right. Okay. So you and Tim, as a couple, you became very involved in the legendary dance parties here in Melbourne, and they were for the VAC, weren't they?
They were, most of them. Also back then.
Also Foundation.
The Foundation,
that's right.
which rest its soul. It's gone to
gone.
God. But
now, how important were those dance parties? Because that was and it was called the gay and lesbian community back then. It was, like 5,000 to 10,000 people down at the sheds in Docklands that pretty much aren't there anymore. They were so legendary, weren't they? Sydney had Mardi Gras, but it was a lot more underground, wasn't it?
They were real warehouse parties. They were in real warehouses.
Leaking ceilings, I can remember.
Shed 14 is still there. People of our community are the only ones who know why it's sinking into the mud. Remember that shed down there? It's closed to the public at the moment.
Yep.
We're set up as an events venue. But having 10,000 people in there stomping on the floor for 14 hours many times has probably, loosened the foundations a little bit.
What was that like? Because, unfortunately, apart from the big Mardi Gras party now, which is only just coming back after COVID, what did that mean to our community back then? What did it mean to you and Tim to go there as two openly gay men to this party that you would have known other people or got to know other friends there?
We opened a couple of them on our motorcycles, interestingly.
Really?
Rode through the crowd and, opened the event. It meant everything. I remember the first one I went to, I think I cried through the whole thing just because there were 10,000 people there and I'd never been in a group of gay and lesbian people, back then it was called that, that were all having fun and enjoying themselves, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter what you were, who you were, how you acted.
Yeah.
It was just full of love.
Magic. It was a magic night.
They were magic.
Yeah, they really were a magical night. And of course, then the big drag shows on stage as well, and which were quite like Sydney have the big drag shows, but Melbourne had really good ones as well, which tend to sort of have been forgotten a little bit.
Absolutely, we had artists singing and lots of things. I can always remember looking up and there was the DJ and the lighting person used to sit above the DJ, and the lighting person was always in drag. And it was fantastic.
Wow.
They had the light on them.
Yeah. Now, there was a particular song that you and Tim relate to those dance parties. What is that song? And how pathetic is that song? So
we
gay.
used to do the dance moves to it too.
Yeah, I know.
It's called Every Time We Touch by Cascada.
Right, okay. So if you want to hear the gayest song in the world, people, listen to that song.
Put that on then as the actions of every time we touch, touching each other. We would look at each other and be like a couple stuck just in our coupleness.
Oh, wow.
You could look at it and we'd spin around and be doing that song every time it came on.
When you reflect back on that, Peter, all those years in shame, like being a gay man, and here you are on that dance floor, you and Tim that close together with 10,000 people around you, not taking any notice for what's going on. What message does that send to you from that person that was struggling to be a gay person to that man standing on that dance floor with your partner?
It sends me the message that it's meant to, pride. And that was one of the points of those big parties, I think, to make us all proud of who we were, to overcome that shame that most people back then were born probably in the 60s and 50s and maybe 70s when it was still illegal.
Yep.
It didn't change, the legality of it didn't change till the 80s, I think.
Yep.
So we all had that shame, almost everyone. Not everyone, depends on the family of origin, but most people had it in there somewhere. And so it was like showing people the opposite of that. Joy does it too. Bent TV does it. Every organisation within our rainbow communities does it. And it's really, really important to give the opposite of what you may be feeling in your inner self.
So what did you say to people, like, because I have a sister who says, but it's all so open, it's all so free now that you can just be who you are. Why do you need like LGBTIQ organisations?
We have marriage equality, but there are still many, many families where people have difficulty because the root of that shame and that self-hatred almost comes from the family early on, and also parts of society are still full of that hatred. We all know about hate speak in society, and it still is out there,
Well, we know
in
about
social media, all over the place.
Yeah, but we know about it in the Middle East, and like because it's Pride Month, I know there are certain countries that have banned kids' toys that are rainbow toys because of a reflection on the rainbow now meaning gay or LGBTIQ. So it really is important that there's that.
Our trans friends, so difficult, and they're at the leading edge of trying to work through all the hate stuff around that, and the discrimination that happens around that. Also,
a lot of older guys, older than even you and Gavin here, not me because I'm so much younger,
sorry, I'm laughing.
Is the fact that there are so many elderly men that still aren't quite out, or who don't have that group of friends that they've come through life with, their gay friends per se. Like I feel really sorry for some people when you come across them these days.
Absolutely, and it brings to mind my uncle. One of my uncles was gay, and he had come out, but his first partner was actually deported from Australia because he was a teacher and they were together, and he wouldn't say they weren't together in the classroom, and he was deported.
Whoa!
Even though he was, I think he was sent to England, and it was shocking. My uncle was out all his life. He was with the same man 55 years.
Wow.
He became a real role model for me over my life because he was with this one person, one man for 55 years, and they lived in the same room. They called him his special friend. That was what it was called. And when I came out to him, he was joyous,
Yeah.
And he invited us to go and meet all his gay friends from the 50s and 60s and stuff. And it was just a magical thing. I've got a picture of 3 generations of gay men in my family. So it's there's a younger person in the next generation as well.
Did he work out that you were gay before you told him?
I think he had an inkling. Yeah.
Right.
But when I turned up with Tim, well, then he kind of
that was the thing. That was the obvious.
Yeah.
All right. That's a lovely story. Lovely story. Now, all of a sudden, when you retired, you decided then that it was time to get involved with Joy. Podcasting, I think, was your first move, was it? Podcasting?
Yeah, like when I was coming out, remember back in the 90s, it was only 2 years I was out, I think, and I hadn't come out at work or to my family or anything. Joy came on the scene back in 1994, I think. 1993 or 94, you may know the date. and it was broadcasting weekends for a long time as a test broadcaster.
Yeah, and we would share. I can't believe that. Who was it? A joke that somebody within the government, federal government, put us on the same ban as the Muslims as well. So
I think it was 90.7.
So one week it would be the Muslim community, then the next week would be the
Uplifting
LGBT
music.
That would have to have been a joke by somebody in federal. Yeah.
Anyway, way back then I joined Joy immediately. I remember what am I remember 334, so it's quite a low number.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to give back to Joy eventually, and as soon as I retired in my early 60s, I reflected on it for about 6 months, and then I knew exactly where I wanted to give my time. Yeah. And that was Joy. So they'd helped me so much. And I've been a listener all those years, and that helped me so much in coming out, learning about the community, etc., that I really thought they were such a unique organisation in the world that I wanted to support and help them. So off I went to the radio course, did the radio course, and then I volunteered as the podcast coordinator. Didn't know anything about podcasting, nothing.
Yeah, but you're very tech savvy though, aren't you?
Yeah, I love technology, so I've always loved technology and good at it as well.
Yeah.
So
you took on one of the best shows in the universe.
Which one would that be, David?
David and Sue.
Yeah, I was the podcaster for David and Sue for a long time. And there's another show that I do some tech work on too, The Art Hunter, of course, your show.
Exactly, which is on Channel 31, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. on Channel 31.
I went to Joy, did the radio course, became a podcaster and now a presenter. I think my first word on Joy, I've told that story a few times. Sue, you were doing a show on a bed in the foyer of Joy.
For marriage equality. And we were doing a John and Yoko love-in in the bed. Yep.
And all of a sudden Sue said, come over and sit on the bed with me, Peter. And I went over. And it was about 3 minutes to the hour. And she said, asked me a question. I can't remember what the question was. I said, yes. And she said, okay, we've got to go to the news now.
Your big moment was a yes.
That was my only moment, the first moment on radio. Now I present Joy Daytimes, and also I have my own show called For One Night Only.
For One Night Only, where people come on, and you're on for 3 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 3-hour interview, really.
About people's life.
Yeah. The concept is they pick 25 songs that are significant in their lives. Then they talk about each song and bring a story about each song and how it's significant. So all sorts of things come up: death of loved ones, happy times, sad times in their lives. Yep. So we play them, talk about them, and over the 3 hours, and they're podcasted as well. So
fantastic. Well, Peter, thank you so much for chatting with us today. You do amazing things for a lot of people, and you're such a warm, friendly person, and your husband Tim is equally as lovely. And the minute somebody asks you or Tim to do something, you always put your hand up. Yep, we'll do it. So thank you for being the person you are.
It's my pleasure.
I've been speaking to him, Peter Holmes. I'm David Hunt, and this is Bent TV. We'll be back again real soon. See ya.